Hello, Hoops fans. Welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for all things NBA betting. As always, it's your host, Kokan here, and I'm super excited to bring you today's jam-packed episode. We've got a thrilling lineup of today's NBA games, and I'm ready to dive deep with our predictions and insider tips. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just getting into the game, today's episode is tailored just for you. Stay tuned, and let's get into today's NBA betting predictions on Tips and Streams. The first today's prediction is for matchup between New York Knicks and Charlotte Hornets. Tonight, the court's set for a sizzling showdown as the New York Knicks roll into the Hornets' hive in Charlotte. The Knicks are tearing up the court with a rock-solid 29-17 record, averaging a hefty 115.16 points a game. They're not just offensive juggernauts, they're clamping down on defense too, holding rivals to 109.82 points, with a field goal efficiency of 46.76% and nailing 37.21% from downtown. They're no slouches. The boards, that's their domain, snagging 46.18 rebounds a game. Now, the Hornets. It's been a rough ride with a 10-34 record. They're scraping together 108.63 points a game, but their defense is leaking buckets, conceding a massive 120.19 points. They're shooting slightly off the mark at 45.79%, trailing in the three-point game at 35.93%, and their rebounding's lagging at 41.21 a game. Looking at the trends, the Knicks are on a tear, 5-1 against the spread in their last six, and undefeated in their last six faceoffs. They've got the Eastern Conference teams on lock with a 7-1 record, but remember, their 4-13 record in Charlotte could be a snag. The Hornets are in a tailspin, 2-10 against the spread recently, and with just 3 wins in their last 20. Even home court's not giving them the edge, with a 1-9 record there. Injury news is key here. The Knicks are missing Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson, while the Hornets are down Kyle Lowry, Gordon Hayward, and Mark Williams. LaMelo Ball and Frank Ntilikina might be iffy to play. These gaps could shake things up on the court. History-wise, the Knicks have the edge, winning 6 and beating the spread in 5 of their last 10 against the Hornets. In Charlotte, they've nailed it 3 out of 4 times. The odds makers favor the Knicks with a 7.5-point lead and an over-under at 223.5. The Knicks' solid offense, defense, and track record in Charlotte point to them having the upper hand. No crystal ball here, but I'm leaning toward the Knicks winning. As for covering the spread or not, I'm not sure the Knicks will cover the spread. My expectation is for the Charlotte Hornets to cover the spread, but that's not what I'm betting on. I'm betting on the total points to dip below 223.5. The next today's prediction is for the game between Los Angeles Clippers and Cleveland Cavaliers. Tonight's clash on the hardwood between the LA Clippers and the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse is shaping up to be a barn burner. Riding the wave of a 5-game win streak, the Clippers are balling out, clinching the 3rd seed in the Western Conference with a 30-14 record. Their squad depth and tactical plays are firing on all cylinders, with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George dropping buckets consistently, fueling their rise. They're lighting up the scoreboard with 118. 23 PPG, backed by a tight D, holding teams to 112.02 PPG. Their sharpshooting is on display with a stellar 49.60% field goal rate and a deadly 39.80% from downtown. The Cavs, holding their own with a solid 27-16 record, are 5th in the Eastern Conference. Fresh off a win against the Bucks, they've shown they can hang tough and rebound from setbacks, averaging 114 PPG on 47.75% shooting. Their offense, though slightly trailing the Clippers, is nothing to snooze on. They've got a slight edge on defense, allowing 109.84 PPG. While their 35.90% three-point shooting and 45.09 RPG are commendable, they're still chasing the Clippers in these stats. Injuries could be a game-changer tonight. The Clippers are without Ivica Zubac, possibly denting their paint defense and board work. The Cavs' injury bench is longer, with Tristan Thompson, Ty Jerome, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley out, which could shake up their lineup. History shows the Clippers dominating recent matchups against the Cavs, bagging 7 of the last 10. But on their home court, the Cavs have been a force, especially against Pacific Division rivals, boasting 15 wins in their last 20. The game's looking like a nail-biter. The Clippers have proved they can grind out wins, even when they're running on fumes, and the Cavs are a powerhouse at home. The Clippers might have the upper hand with their efficient scoring and defense, especially from the field and beyond the arc. However, the Cavs' home court mojo and recent form are hard to ignore. Expect a defensive showdown, likely keeping the score under 226.5 points. The Clippers, with their sharpshooting and form, might have a slight edge, but it's going to be a tight game, with the Cavs likely to keep it within a 3-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between New Orleans Pelicans and Boston Celtics. Tonight's showdown is set to be a real barn burner as the New Orleans Pelicans swoop into Boston to take on the Celtics. Boston, sitting pretty with a stellar 35-11 record, welcomes the Pelicans, who aren't too shabby themselves, at 26-20. It's a classic court clash with both squads bringing their A-game and some slick strategies. The Pelicans, in tip-top shape, are hitting the court with a hefty 116.73 points per game average. That's no small feat, showing they know how to light up the scoreboard. With a field goal percentage of 48.63% and drilling 38.27% from downtown, they're a serious threat to the Celtics' D. On the other side, the Celtics are beasts in their own den, despite some question marks over Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford. Their 18-2 home record is nothing short of dominant, scoring an average of 120 points per game. They've got a slight upper hand over the Pelicans. Their D is tight too, letting through just 110. 60 points per game, a smidge better than the Pelicans' 112-42, but they trail slightly in field goal accuracy at 47.88%. Rebounds might just be the game changer tonight. The Celtics, pulling down 47.38 boards a game, might have the edge, especially with some uncertainty in their big men lineup. The Pelicans, snagging 44.47 rebounds a game, have to up their game here to push back. History in Boston leans towards the Celtics, with the Pelicans only snagging one win in their last 5 visits. Yet the Pelicans have shown some serious grit against Eastern Conference teams lately, boasting a 5-1 record in recent showdowns. The game's looking to be a nail-biter. The Pelicans are a bit of a wild card against the spread, while the Celtics are strong at home but have a Monday jinx in Boston against the spread. With the Celtics' strong home game and the Pelicans' not-so-hot record in Boston, the Celtics are the front-runners. But Boston's big men being on the fence could level the playing field, especially in the rebound and inside scoring zones. It might just be a closer game than the 8-point spread hints at. All signs point to a high-scoring game, with the total points likely topping 233. The Pelicans' sharpshooting and the Celtics scoring, even possibly short-handed, should lead to a score fest. Expect the Celtics to pull out a win and cover the spread in this tight match, with the scoreboard hitting over 233. But hey, double-check that Celtics injury roster before placing your bets. The next today's prediction is for the game between Utah Jazz and Brooklyn Nets. Tonight's electrifying showdown features the Utah Jazz dribbling into the Barclays Center to face off with the Brooklyn Nets. Sporting a 24-23 record, the Jazz are riding the momentum of consecutive wins, eager to keep their victory streak alive. Meanwhile, the Nets, lagging at 18-27, recently halted a losing skid with a triumph over the Houston Rockets. A critical factor tonight is team health. The Jazz hit the court fully charged, a potential game-changer. The Nets, however, are navigating injury hurdles, with Dorian Finney-Smith and Cameron Johnson on the maybe list, and Day'Ron Sharpe benched. The Nets lineup hangs in the balance. Stat-wise, the Jazz are shooting ahead, netting an average of 117.54 points per game to the Nets' 113.48, leading in field goal percentage, 46.88% to 45.83%, and grabbing more rebounds, 46.65 versus 45.64 per game. The Nets, though, slightly outpace in three-pointers, 36, 18% to 35.65%. When it comes to assists, Jazz's teamwork shines with 28.22 per game, outdoing the Nets 26.27. Trend-wise, the Jazz are solid, beating the spread in 9 of their last 11 games and often soaring past total points predictions. The Nets, in contrast, struggle in the spread, with a 4-15-1 record in their recent 20 games, typically scoring below the total points line. In the Jazz-Nets historical playbook, the Jazz have been the dominant team, winning and beating the spread in 6 out of 10 past face-offs. In Brooklyn, the Jazz have clinched a win and twice outperformed the spread in the last 4 encounters. This historical edge, blended with their current form, might tip the scales for the Jazz tonight. The Nets have shown sparks of form improvement, but faltering in-game closures remain their Achilles heel, evident against the Clippers and the Rockets. Despite playing on their turf, the Nets seem overvalued, especially with Ben Simmons back in action. The Jazz, consistently outperforming yet underrated by oddsmakers, have surpassed spread expectations in 8 of their last 10 games. Meanwhile, the Nets have nosedived recently, their once stellar spread record now a middling 21-22-2. Considering the stats, team health, and trends, the odds lean towards the Utah Jazz not just winning, but also beating the spread. Expect a high-scoring affair, with total points likely crossing the 233 mark, mirroring the Jazz's recent scoring surge. I'm placing my bet on the game's total points, banking on the score to exceed the 233-point threshold. The next today's prediction is for the game between Phoenix Suns and Miami Heat. Tonight's showdown on the court is one for the books as the Phoenix Suns square off against the Miami Heat. The Suns, sporting a solid 26-20 record, are set to rebound from recent hiccups, flaunting an impressive scoring average of 116.4 points with a 49.2% shooting clip. Their lineup is a constellation of stars: Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, who bring a serious game, especially from downtown, with a 37.7% three-point blitz. Meanwhile, the Heat, with a 24-22 record, are hustling to break free from a 6-game losing streak. Their game has been lukewarm, averaging 110.5 points and shooting at 46.2%. Jimmy Butler's been carrying the torch for Miami, but the squad needs more heat from Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo to turn up the scoreboards. A key play for tonight is the Suns' back-to-back game scenario. They've been acing these with 5 wins in 7, while the Heat have shown strength at home against Pacific Division rivals, but have been fumbling to cover the spread against winning teams. Stats-wise, the Suns have been owning the court in recent matchups against the Heat, clinching 6 wins and covering the spread in 7 out of their last 10 face-offs. In Miami, the Suns have been ruling the roost, taking 4 of the last 5 and acing the spread each time. Injuries could be a game-changer. The Suns are eyeing Bradley Beal and Jusuf Nurkic's conditions, while the Heat are all clear on the health front. Breaking down the numbers, the Suns seem to have the edge with their sharp shooting and rebounding skills. They're up against a rested Heat team, hungry for a win to break their slump. The Heat's old-school offense is struggling to crack 90 points, and I'm hesitant to bet on them against the Suns' trio, Durant, Booker, and Beal. The odds are tilting too much towards the Heat. Wrapping it up, I'm banking on the Phoenix Suns to beat the 4-point spread. Their top-notch efficiency, recent form, and track record in Miami make them the smart pick to not just cover the spread, but maybe even snatch the victory. My money's on the Suns to cover that 4-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Los Angeles Lakers and Houston Rockets. Hoops enthusiasts gear up for a riveting showdown as the Los Angeles Lakers take on the Houston Rockets. The Lakers are strutting in with a decent record of 25 wins and 23 losses, flaunting their scoring prowess with an average of 115.53 points per game. Defensively, they're conceding 116.04 points per game, but their sharpshooting skills shine through with a field goal average of 49.24% and a respectable 36.40% from beyond the arc. They're also pulling down an average of 43.11 rebounds and dishing out 27.98 assists per game. The Rockets, on the flip side, are holding their own with 21 wins and 24 losses. They're racking up 113.48 points per game while allowing 112.52 points. Their field goal and three-point percentages are 46.33% and 35.42%, respectively. The Rockets outshine in rebounding, boasting an average of 45.20, and they keep the ball moving with 25.07 assists per game. Looking at recent trends, the Lakers are on a hot streak, going 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games, and they've been overshooting the total in their last 5. They've had the Rockets number, winning 14 out of their last 17 matchups. But they've been struggling against teams from the Southwest Division and have a 1-4 record straight up in their recent Monday games. The Rockets are facing a rough patch with a 3-8 record against the spread in their last 11 games and 2-6 in their last 8 games overall. They do show some spark at home, with a 4-1 record against the spread in their recent Monday home games. Head-to-head, the Lakers have been dominant, winning 7 out of the last 10 against the Rockets, although they've only covered the spread in 4 of those games. In their last 5 games in Houston, the Lakers have won and covered the spread twice. The Lakers are currently missing Cam Reddish and Gabe Vincent, and the Rockets might be without Jabari Smith. The spread hints that either LeBron or Anthony Davis might sit out, with both being questionable. An inspired LeBron, especially after his earlier altercation with Coach Udoka, could be a game-changer. The Rockets, losing 7 of their last 10 games, are not in the best form. The Lakers have been upping their game recently, crucial for their playoff hopes. This is a must-win for the Lakers, regardless of who's on the court. Considering the stats and trends, the Lakers seem poised to outdo the Rockets, especially with their recent form and historical edge over Houston. The Lakers' offensive firepower and decent defense should tip the scales in their favor. However, the Rockets' solid home record and rebounding prowess make this an intriguing matchup. The game is shaping up to be a fierce battle, but the Rockets, with their efficiency and recent momentum, are likely to cover the spread and clinch the victory. My money is on the Rockets to triumph and cover the spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Sacramento Kings and Memphis Grizzlies. In the upcoming showdown at FedEx Forum, the Sacramento Kings and the Memphis Grizzlies are gearing up for a riveting matchup. The Kings are tearing it up offensively this season, dropping an average of 118.7 points per game, which lands them in the NBA's top 7. They're killing it from downtown, ranking 3rd in the league with a sweet 15.1 trays per game and a solid 37.3% from the three-point land. However, they have a vulnerability in their defense. Their ability to defend against three-point shots is lacking, allowing opponents to make shots at a high rate of 39.2%. Flip the script to the Memphis Grizzlies, who are facing a tough slog. Their offense is in a bit of a slump, scraping together just 107.8 points per game, one of the NBA's lowest. The rebounding game isn't looking much better, sitting 23rd in the league. This could spell trouble against the Kings, who are no slouches on the boards. And from beyond the arc, the Grizzlies are struggling, clocking in with the league's 3rd worst percentage. Looking at the recent plays, the Kings have been solid with the spreads, clocking a 6-3-1 in their last 10 games. Their scoring's been on an uptick, pushing past their season average to hit 120.3 points recently, though they've been giving up more points on the defense too. The Grizzlies have split their last 10 games, but have kept the score on the lower side in most of these clashes. The Kings are the favorites to take this one, especially since they trounced the Grizzlies by 31 points last New Year's Eve and have a healthier squad. But the Grizzlies, despite a lengthy injury list, aren't easy to dismiss. They keep grinding out wins and have covered the spread in their last 4 games. So, here's the revised game plan. The Kings are likely to bag the win, but don't count out the Grizzlies on covering the spread, especially with the Kings' shaky defense. Expect the total points to dip below the 227.5 mark, considering the Grizzlies' offensive woes and their recent form. The next today's prediction is for the game between Minnesota Timberwolves and Oklahoma City Thunder. Tonight's showdown pits the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Oklahoma City Thunder, both boasting impressive 32-14 records. The Thunder, fresh off another game, have been clutch in back-to-backs, snagging 5 wins in 7 tries. Stats lean towards OKC with a sizzling 121.58 PPG, outshining Minnesota's 113.09 and shooting a red-hot 50.39% from the field compared to the T-Wolves' 48.75%. But Minnesota has the edge beyond the arc, draining threes at 38.69% against OKC's 38.94% and dominating the boards with 43.84 RPG versus Thunder's 41.22. Looking at recent face-offs, the Timberwolves have been the alpha dogs, triumphing in 7 out of the last 10 and beating the spread in half of those. In their last few tangles, particularly in Oklahoma, Minnesota not only won but also bested the spread in 3 out of 4. OKC's packed schedule might just be their Achilles heel tonight. The injury report is light. Jalen Clark and Mike Conley are maybes for Minnesota, while Trey Mann is a no-show for OKC. Minnesota, with points in their pocket, looks tempting. They've outplayed the Thunder in 7 of their last 10 encounters, But let's not forget the T-Wolves struggle on the road, with 10 of their 14 losses away from home. The Thunder, having recently outclassed the T-Wolves as road underdogs, boast an impressive 30-16 ATS record, the best in the league. OKC's favoritism makes sense, but I'm banking on Minnesota's defensive prowess to dictate this game. The Thunder's back-to-back run might start to wear them down as we near the season's end, impacting their performance. For Minnesota, watch for Anthony Edwards to shine against Shea. But it's their stellar defense, especially against a smaller Thunder squad, that'll make the difference. With the league's top defensive rating, expect Towns and Gobert to dominate inside, complementing Edwards' usual electrifying display. Breaking down the trends and figures, my pick leans towards Minnesota beating the plus 3-point spread, with the total points likely dipping below 226.5. The T-Wolves' recent dominance over Thunder, especially on Oklahoma turf, alongside their sharp three-point shooting and rebounding prowess, might be the game-changers in this close battle. Yet, OKC's scoring ability and shooting efficiency are formidable, especially given their solid track record in consecutive games. My money's on the Minnesota Timberwolves to cover the 3-point spread, with the total score staying under 226.5. The next today's prediction is for the game between Washington Wizards and San Antonio Spurs. Tonight's showdown is set to sizzle as the Washington Wizards and the San Antonio Spurs go head-to-head on the hardwood. Both squads have been grappling with challenges this season. The Wizards are dribbling at 8:37, while the Spurs are a step up at 10:36. Tonight's clash isn't just a rebound from past setbacks, it's a hardcore duel of grit and game plans. The Wizards are hitting the court with an impressive average of 115.02 points per game, showcasing their offensive firepower. But they're getting schooled on defense, letting in a hefty 124.68 points per game. They're shooting with a solid 47.67% from the field and netting 35.23% of their trays. However, their rebound game needs some hustle, averaging only 40 boards a game, a stat they need to amp up against a team like the Spurs. San Antonio is slightly behind in scoring, averaging 112.87 points. Their defense is more like an open door, conceding a whopping 212.64 points per game. They're banking shots at a 46.04% clip and hitting 34.30% from downtown. The Spurs dominate the glass, pulling down 43.27 rebounds per game, which might just set the rhythm tonight. The Wizards have been tripping on the road, and playing away tonight doesn't bode well. Their track record in San Antonio is a bit shaky, with just one victory in their last 20 visits. The Spurs, meanwhile, have defended their turf well, bagging 19 wins in their last 20 home games against the Wizards. Looking at the last 10 face-offs, the Wizards have snagged only 3 wins and beat the spread in 4. In their recent 4 games in San Antonio, they've clinched 1 win and outperformed the spread twice. This suggests a possible shift in the game's flow when they play in the Spurs' den. Tonight, the Spurs are pegged with a 4.5-point advantage, and the total score is expected to hover around 242.5 points. Analyzing the trends and stats, especially considering the Wizards' new vibe post-coaching shakeup and the Spurs' grueling schedule, the smart money is on the Wizards beating the spread. The total score is likely to duck under 242.5, given each team's scoring and defending patterns. Frankly, it's a puzzle whether to back the Spurs with a 5-point edge. The Wizards, with their recent revamp, seem to have upped their game. The Spurs are fresh off a couple of victories, including a win over the Wizards on their court not long ago. But tonight's game smells like a whole different ball game. In the final buzzer, gear up for a nail-biter where the Wizards might just steal the limelight, thanks to their extra prep time and recent internal boost. The Spurs will throw down, but the Wizards look set to outplay the spread in a showdown where the scoreboard's expected to stay south of the 242.5 mark. My bet is riding on the Washington Wizards to outrun the 5-point spread and keep the total points under the wire. The next today's prediction is for the game between Orlando Magic and Dallas Mavericks. In the upcoming showdown, the Orlando Magic squares off against the Dallas Mavericks. Let's hoop deep into this matchup, analyzing stats, trends, and other key elements to forecast the game's outcome. The Orlando Magic, boasting a 23-22 record, have been toughing it out this season. Yet, they've stumbled in back-to-back plays, securing just 2 victories in 9 tries. They're averaging a decent 111.31 points a game, shooting a solid 46.79% from the field and 34.07% from downtown. Their rebound game is on point, snagging an average of 43.29 boards per game, and their assist game isn't too shabby either, at 24.44 per game. However, the Magic's recent performances raise a red flag, only 3 wins in their last 10 outings, and a disheartening 0-11 record on the Mavericks' turf. On the flip side, the Dallas Mavericks, with a slightly better 25-21 record, have shown more consistency. They're outscoring the Magic with an average of 118.65 points per game and have sharper shooting skills, boasting a 47.27% field goal accuracy and a remarkable 37.14% from the three-point line. Although they're a bit behind in the rebounding department with 41.76 per game, they edge out slightly in assists, averaging 25.48 per game. Plus, their home court record against the Magic is nothing short of impressive, with 11 consecutive wins in such matchups. When it comes to head-to-head battles, the Magic often find themselves in a pickle against the Mavericks, particularly in Dallas. They've failed to clinch any of the last 4 games in Dallas, and have only beaten the spread twice in these showdowns. The trend points to the Magic's struggles against Western Conference foes, while the Mavericks show their might at home against Eastern Conference teams. Injury updates are key. The Magic are missing Gary Harris, while the Mavericks have a couple of players, including Kyrie Irving and Dwight Powell, who are up in the air. The potential absence or limited play of these athletes could significantly sway the game. The Orlando Magic have a solid 29-17 record against the spread this season, so the idea of snagging some free points was tempting. But in this case, I'm looking for more points before I can confidently back the Magic. The Mavericks are on fire at home, with Luka Doncic reaching new heights lately. If he keeps this up, it's tough to see the Magic keeping pace, especially on the back end of a back-to-back. The Magic's defense is holding up, but scoring has been a struggle. Add potential fatigue into the mix, and scoring becomes an even bigger challenge. In the paint of today's matchup, we're looking at a duel between the Dallas Mavericks and the Orlando Magic. The Mavericks, riding high on their scoring game and owning the hardwood in their home court against the Magic, seem poised to clinch the win. But here's the twist. The total score is hovering around 228.5. However, both squads have been dropping dimes on defense lately, nudging the score more towards the low end. Now, let's break down the final play. The Mavericks might be the hot pick to snag the victory, but don't sleep on the Magic. They're only trailing by a 5-point spread, and in this neck-and-neck tussle where defense plays MVP, I'm banking on the Magic to keep it tight and cover the spread. Expect a showdown where the scoreboard stays shy of 228.5. The next today's prediction is for the game between Milwaukee Bucks and Denver Nuggets. In the sizzling face-off set at the Ball Arena, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Denver Nuggets are gearing up for a barn burner. The Bucks, boasting a solid 32-14 record, have been tearing up the court, recently dismantling the Pelicans with a jaw-dropping 141-117 triumph. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the team's powerhouse, was a spectacle, playing a pivotal role in the victory. The Bucks have been lighting it up offensively, though their defense leaves room for improvement, a key aspect to watch in this clash. The Nuggets, mirroring the Bucks with a near-identical 32-15 record, have been on a hot streak, clinching a win over the 76ers in their last outing. They've been firing on all cylinders this season, especially on their turf with an impressive 18-4 home record. The Nuggets trio, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr., form a formidable force on both ends of the floor, posing a serious challenge for the Bucks. Looking at the head-to-head stats in Denver, the Bucks have had the edge in recent matchups. However, the Nuggets' solid home performance and their clean bill of health tilt the scales slightly in their favor. The Bucks, despite their strength, have been slipping against the spread in recent road games. Both squads are closely matched in shooting efficiency, three-point prowess, and rebounding, setting the stage for a nail-biter. The Bucks are still finding their feet defensively, while the Nuggets have been unstoppable at home since last season. This matchup could see the Nuggets take control, but it's rare to catch the Bucks as such significant underdogs. In fact, it's only the sixth time since last year they've been pegged as underdogs by 4.5 or more points. A rare opportunity, and that's why I'm leaning towards the Bucks to upset the Nuggets in this showdown. Considering the trends and stats, my prediction tilts in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks to cover the 4.5-point spread. The total points are likely to dip below the 241. 5 line set by the odds makers, given the Nuggets' defensive strength and their strategy to decelerate the game, especially when playing at home. The last prediction for today is for the matchup between Philadelphia 76ers and Portland Trail Blazers. Tonight's showdown is shaping up to be a high-flying hoop fest as the Philadelphia 76ers gear up to take on the Portland Trail Blazers. The 76ers, flaunting a solid 29-15 record, are set to dominate the hardwood against the struggling Trailblazers, who are trying to find their rhythm with a 13-32 tally. In the stats game, the 76ers are killing it. They're racking up a whopping 119.84 points per game, leaving the Trailblazers in the dust with their 108.07. Defensively, they're a fortress, restricting opponents to a mere 112.05 points, while Portland's defense seems to be a revolving door, conceding 117.24. This defensive stranglehold might just be the game changer tonight. The 76ers are lighting up the scoreboard with a field goal percentage of 47.60%, eclipsing the Trailblazers' 43.59%. They're also on fire from downtown, sinking threes at a 36.70% clip, slightly ahead of the Trailblazers' 35.55%. In the rebound game, the 76ers dominate with an average of 43.44 per game, outmuscling Portland's 41.56. This rebounding prowess could be crucial in dictating the game's tempo and securing those vital second-chance shots. The 76ers are riding a winning wave, having secured 6 out of their last 8 games, flexing their muscles against Western teams. Their recent head-to-heads with the Trailblazers have been mostly victorious, with 4 wins in their last 5 encounters. However, their away record shows some cracks, with a 2-4 against the spread in recent road games. Conversely, the Trailblazers, despite their rocky season, have shown tenacity on their home court, boasting a 4-1 record against the spread in their latest homestands. They've also been impressive in back-to-back games, bagging 5 wins in 8, demonstrating their endurance and mental toughness. Injury concerns loom over both teams, with key players potentially sitting out. The 76ers might be missing Tobias Harris, Mohamed Bamba, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey, while the Trailblazers could be without Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Grant, and Anfernee Simons, among others. These absences could significantly alter the game dynamics. Looking at past clashes in Portland, the 76ers have come out ahead and beaten the spread in 2 of their last 5 visits. The bookies have the 76ers as 9-point favorites with a total points prediction of 224.5. Given the 76ers' offensive firepower and defensive solidity, they look set for victory. However, the potential unavailability of key players suggests a possibly lower-scoring game. While it's challenging to discount the Trailblazers on their home turf, particularly with the 76ers dealing with injuries. The 76ers star trio, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Tobias Harris, are all questionable right now. Meanwhile, the Trailblazers are looking more stable and have covered the spread in 5 of their last 8 games. Considering the 76ers' injury woes, I'm leaning towards the Trailblazers to beat the spread. My bet is on the Portland Trailblazers to cover the plus 10-point spread. Be sure to check the Sixers' injury report before placing any bets.